Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlyn
and Tori,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Awesome. Welcome back, everyone, to the Take the Leap podcast. We're really excited today to have our guest, Brady Helkenn, with us. Brady is the founder of BH Tech Connection. He started his formal education in IT services and support in 2007 and received his first full-time job within a year of that. He quickly took to the social aspect of IT. And even though he could fix printers and replace hardware like any self-respecting IT professional, he quickly realized his passion lay in finding new ways to improve performance or make workflows more efficient. He started to moonlight while still at his first job, helping fellow coworkers out with home computers and taking on occasional clients through Craigslist. He called his budding solo proprietorship BH Tech Connection in 2010, but it wasn't until 2015, after a few different jobs and a stint as a freelance contractor touring some of the Bay Area's tech companies, that he decided to make his side hustle the main show. Over the past several years, he has helped migrate entire companies to new phone systems, email systems, set up brand new offices, and provided services and support to thousands of people. Throughout all of this, his passion for looking to help the person behind the tech has only intensified, and Brady strongly believes in reducing IT-related stress whenever possible through transparent communication and simple, clear, and inclusive service offerings. Outside of work, he plays piano, goes hiking, tries new restaurants, and freely embraces his nerddom in universes such as Star Trek, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. And full transparency, Brady is my inside IT guy, and I'm so excited to welcome him to the podcast. Thanks for being here, Brady.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yay. We're so happy to have you.
So I said a lot of things, but I would love to hear in your own words, what is your Take the Leap story? What was the moment that you were like, entrepreneurship is for me?
You know, the idea behind the business being created and doing the moonlighting and stuff like that, it was just like a little light bulb that felt like it floated over my head randomly, because it was the idea of I had coworkers constantly asking me to come over to their house and fix their personal computer for various reasons, or work on them, or do something. And I had that little comparison pop into my brain of like, I could do this, you know, I work at a place where there's 200 people and I support them. I could support 200 people with their own individual computers. Right. And that was kind of the little brain baby. And then kind of recognizing that people asking that question all the time, like it happened all the time. And it became really clear to me that there wasn't enough IT to go around for the amount of issues that there were. And that was kind of the main thing that was it for me. That was the decision. And then, yeah.
That's awesome. Really, yeah. I mean, that is really similar to how my I got started. People kept asking, do you know somebody who knows marketing in this area? And then I was like, hey, I know how to do that. Would somebody pay me to do that? And so I feel like that's a lot of the ways people get inspired to become entrepreneurs, is you hear it enough times that you just decide to take the leap as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. So many people were just asking me, could you just do like a few things on the side for me? Could you just do this? And yeah, just kind of more from there. So I feel like that's a very common story for entrepreneurs to get that idea to go out. Well, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself when you just started out?
Don't be afraid to raise your rates.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes.
that's a good one.
And I mostly think about it because it is the single biggest thing I repeatedly notice with new clients that are like spinning up businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of see it echoed in them. I see it echoed in the fact that it's one person trying to make it work, and they're making half the money that they were making when they were at their last full-time job, and they were trying to figure out how to bill a client close to the same amount that they were making per hour at their job, and that ignores billable versus administrative time, and it
Mm-hmm.
ignores taxes and the fact that you're not a W-2 if you're just a solo proprietor. Like you're just whatever you're making is going to get taxed later, so it's not even the full amount you're getting. You're going to pay
Right.
that in taxes. So
Yeah.
there's the whole trope of the Simpsons doctor that I think people really underestimate the effect of. Because if you come along onto the scene, everybody else is charging 200 an hour, and you come along and go, "I'll do it for 75 an hour," and people know that it goes for $200 an hour, they're not going to hire you. And
Mm-hmm.
Right.
it
Yeah.
surprises you when you figure it out. So I was in that bucket for a little too long. I was in that same zone for like a year or two, and
Mm-hmm.
it really stunted my initial growth.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think a lot of times you don't factor in those layers of costs, and like you and I just went through this exercise of like what things should really cost so that you're understanding the true value of what it is that you're getting and what you're paying for, as well. And yeah, not enough people factor that in as the money it costs to maintain a website, your computers, your equipment, all of those different things are really super important, as well. And
Well,
yeah.
yeah, well, and spiraling off of that, you kind of made that point of like people aren't going to hire you if you're below the market price. But I also think there's kind of that energetic piece too of like if you don't value yourself the way that you need to be valued, like people are going to pick up on that. And I know that the first few years and even more recently, I've had to like keep reminding myself, no, I need to be charging more. I've been with this client for a long time, or they're asking for more services. Like, I need to be able to ask them, and this shouldn't be an awkward thing. This is business, and I value myself. I value my time, and I value my work. So they need to do the same.
Mhm.
And most clients don't really, bat an eye at it either. And I think it just we kind of get in our own heads about it, but yeah, when you don't value yourself, chances are people are going to pick up on that energy as well. And, or maybe you will get clients, but I don't know about you guys, but for, for me, the lowest paying clients that I've had just consistently across the board have been the biggest, challenge is for me in
Mhm.
terms of client relationships. I've had the most pushback from them.
Yeah.
I've had the most like extra tasks and boundary setting that I've had to do with them. So
It's
yeah, I definitely,
sustainability.
yeah,
Sustainability is a big watchword for me. If you can't afford to pay a market rate for this service, then your business isn't functioning correctly.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a
good.
really good point. That's
Yeah.
a
Mhm.
really good point, especially for a service like IT, which is really important to the functioning of your business. And I would even argue marketing is kind of there too. Like when you have like these basic services and you can't afford that, oh, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's the
for
same
that.
people that you just described at the bottom range are the
Mhm.
same ones that are struggling the most with their own internal scalability, their own ability to hire staff, their own ability
Mhm.
because they're not charging enough to their clients. And
Mhm.
it's a trickle effect.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. No, that totally makes sense.
It's a really good point.
So, some good nuggets.
Yeah.
Okay, last question before we put you in the hot seat. What's your why? Why? And I guess I would love you to approach, because I know we've talked about this in the past of, you kind of help the smaller businesses, that 1 to 10 to, we've been saying maybe 15, 20, staff members and employees. Why that particular group when there's a lot of other bigger managed IT services firms that are focusing on that 200, 250 employee range?
Well, the answer is in the question. And matter of fact, the reason why even the range is changing is because I'm reacting to the market space. I'm reacting to what the other IT companies are creating as thresholds. My why is somewhat evocative, almost like of a nonprofit. Of like there's a mission drive underneath it of access. And there are so many businesses across the country that need this kind of prevention, need the tool sets, need the people in their corner to be able to provide tech support and secure them and prevent those shit moments that will hit the fan and take their business out of commission and all sorts of things. Like getting in front of that and giving them the access when the other IT companies are going, well, our minimum spend is $5,000 a month, and they come back and they go, "Are you kidding? I've only got 5 people. I can't do 1,000 a month per person. You're insane." Right? And so that access barrier suddenly becomes an issue because even if they don't straight up say you're too small for us, they'll still say what their minimum spend is, and it's almost the same thing. So, for the longest time, I've been 1 to 10, and I started noticing over the past couple of years that a lot of the partners I talk to, their floors are 15 or 20 people now. And so by me staying at 1 to 10, I'm actually creating another hole,
Avoid, in
another
the
void
next
where they're
ring.
between 10 and 20 and they still have no solutions. So I'm actually stretching to accommodate that gap.
Awesome.
That's incredible.
Yes. That's why we had major synergy when we first started working together. Because a lot of the times those small businesses, they get priced out, they get costed out, and they still, you start
still need
small and you grow big, and they need that formative support during that startup to growth phase as well.
And when they don't have that kind of support, you can tell. You can tell when companies don't have support like that. So, yeah, there's definitely a need for what you're doing for sure.
All right, you ready to transition to hot seat? Tori
Sure.
has our first question.
So I like to kick off the hot seat questions with this one. But what is the best and or worst piece of advice you've received in your career?
Oh my God, that's a loaded question.
We've gotten some very loaded answers. That's why I ask it.
I think the best advice that I probably got. No, you know what? Check that. I'm going to say I don't know if this is quite answering the vibe of it, but I'd actually reverse it and say probably the worst is the one that where. Let me ask real quick. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Oh yes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I have a thing that I call my fuck you fire, and it is a reactive. It's a reactive part of me that people in my peer range, like other IT companies, have gotten really vehement with me about like needing to do this, that, or the other thing in order to actually mature as a business. You know what you really need to do. You're really going to fuck up unless you do such and such.
Yeah.
And the number of IT companies that have looked at me like I was crazy, told me I was crazy, told me to pick up 50-person clients or 30-person clients or 100-person clients. And the number of times that I had that same reaction of like, no, I'll prove you wrong, that this is a functional business model that, because it was, again, I was recognizing the trap for what it was. As soon as you take on the big clients, then you start to devalue the small clients and you end up like every other MSP out there. So I don't know if that was quite the right vibe.
I like it. I like it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
I'm gonna use that. You said the fuck you file?
Yeah, that's a fuck you fire. I'm going to prove you wrong.
I like it. I like it.
I use it sparingly. I don't do it with everything.
Yeah.
I listen to my peers for the most part, but every once in a while there's like, no, it is not necessary. I can do this.
Well, it's also a really good reminder that everybody can give you advice, but you don't have to listen to all of it. No matter how well intentioned it is or not well intentioned, like you don't have to listen to everyone. You just got to listen to yourself. And I think that as an entrepreneur is the struggle of, when do you block out all the outside voices and just trust your gut?
Yeah. Or just try it and see if it works. I mean,
Right.
obviously, it's been working. You started
Ready,
this in 2010, you know?
ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim, indeed.
Mhm.
Well, that perfectly tees up my next question, which wasn't one of the mantras that I know that I appreciate about BH Tech Connection being a client of yours is the focus on the proactive and preventative solutions that you're focusing on in IT. And what other IT companies that I've worked with in the past have failed at was just that great customer service and that communication, level. So why is that customer service aspect super important to you, and how have you structured your team, because I know it's more than just you, to work best for your clients right now?
I hire staff with at least a minimum recognition of customer service background, which sounds bizarre. And even more bizarre is that I usually don't require server certifications or other kinds of deeper IT knowledge or expertise in the staff that I hire. One, because they don't show up, but two, because they're coachable, they're teachable. It's a lot easier to train somebody in a cert to handle a piece of technology that they don't have experience in than it is to teach them white glove customer service, bedside manner, proactive communication.
Mm-hmm.
And people, end users, clients, they respond to that more than they do the technical capabilities. You do need both, but it is so much more important to
Mm-hmm.
have bedside manner and proactive communication and not know something than
Mm-hmm.
know something and be a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
We all have
know.
those
Like you
Yeah.
pick those
experiences. Yeah.
scenarios back to back and you go, well, I'd rather take the person that doesn't know needs to go check with the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially being in technology, right? Technology is going to change. So who cares if somebody was trained on, such and such back in the day? It could be gone tomorrow, and
Well,
you
and
have to
part of
learn
that is
something
I
new.
also looked at depth of experience in IT, and I again tend to stay away from depth of experience in IT because if somebody's been in an internal IT position, not even in an MSP or IT services company for
Hmm.
about 25 years, then they are so out of touch
Right.
at this point,
Yeah.
25 years later, on what it looks like to actually be an MSP helping out 5-person companies.
Hmm.
No frame of reference. It's like two different languages at that point.
Yeah. When it's about being more scrappy, right? Like when you're used to working in this kind of small business area, it's like, you're going to have to look up how to do things. Or I know I'm really good at like breaking shit, but I'm also patient knowing that, it's going to take a little while to get things running, or as new tools are introduced. Like I have this little um, icon now at the top, which I think is the thing we were talking about the other week. The little diamond icon is now on my computer of a new, rollout service that you're doing right now, which I think is just super cool that you're always introducing new tools and things to
Mhm.
basically add on to the service and improve the performance and efficiency with which you communicate with your clients.
Mhm.
That's great. That's great. Um, so sort of related. Because you focus on smaller businesses, I do think, just having worked in small businesses a lot and then obviously having my own, I do think there is kind of this misconception that if you have a small business and you're not a big company, you're not necessarily a target for cybersecurity issues, tech issues, and things like that. And you can kind of just figure it out and you don't really need a system or a person to go to unless there's an emergency. Could you tell me like I'm assuming that that's not the case, because
I see your face. He's ready
tell
to
me,
tell
yeah,
us.
if you could tell me all about that, how you would talk about that, and I guess like what are some of the common issues that small businesses do actually face?
It's constantly evolving.
Mhm.
So you asked me this question even a month ago, and I would have been telling you that the most common issue is a lot of spray and pray tactics of email hacking, email phishing, password compromise, and just propagating that kind of stuff and continuing along. We just got our first case this week of one of our end users who has an AI and it again doesn't seem super targeted. It seems to be AI generated. Somebody doing voicemails as if they're an internal staff member
Oh.
talking to another staff member trying to get money, trying to talk
Mhm.
about payroll this or payroll that.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's AI generative. So what do you do in that situation? At that point, you're now having to evolve your tactics. The kinds of technological tools that are in place, there's a certain rigidity and speed at which they develop. So we're on the back foot. We're often
Mhm.
on the back.
Yeah.
So sometimes even low tech solutions of having a verbal password suddenly is the main recommendation we're giving to them, because none of the tool stack that we have can stop that from happening. What does help is being educated on how to combat that problem, and we've seen enough of it to know which direction to go with that. Doesn't make the tools that we have in place any less important, just means that they're not as applicable. The whole I'm too small to be a target is, I go yes. And does it make you feel better to know that they didn't even know you existed until you clicked on their message and now you owe them $5,000 in a ransom note? Does that make you feel better that you didn't know? Like, because usually that just feels like a bigger slap in the face of like, you didn't even care that I existed, but you'll still take my money.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh man. Well, and I think the ways that people break in are so insidious. I remember the example that you were telling me of I think it was an accounting firm that they got into their QuickBooks and they changed client uh, client bank accounts. So like money
Yeah,
was
routing information and stuff like
routing
that.
information and stuff like that. So like it wasn't even that the company itself, it was that the company was part of this larger hack. And and I mean
Bigger
everyone.
payday. You're in accounting and you have access to all of your clients' QuickBooks
Mhm.
accounts, and at
Mhm.
one point of entry,
Yeah.
and you had
Yeah.
$30,000 move around across like 10 different clients.
Oh my gosh. That's scary.
Yeah.
And it wasn't those clients' faults. That was an internal
No.
breach from their vendor. So that became an awkward conversation of like, well, we don't manage accounting systems. We
Mhm.
let that be the purview of Intuit or of whichever company, Freshworks, whatever company that you're doing your
Bookkeeping
accounting
through.
through.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Those have FINRA level regulations and stuff like that that we don't really touch. What we do touch are things like email systems,
Mhm.
suspicious email logins from Ukraine or from North Korea or something like that. Like, where did you get a login from, and can we put in a tool that locks your account and
Mhm.
kicks out anybody that's already logged in?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a false positive and irritates somebody, but other
It's
times they
better
kicked
than it
out the real
not.
thing and they didn't have a chance to do anything with that access. And now it got kicked out. Now change the password, reset two-factor, you're good to go now. And
Mhm.
that's the kind of thing of like, great, prevention is worth a ounce of cure. You were bringing that up earlier
Mhm.
about proactive prevention. Without that tool, who knows? That could have just been a like, let me hit up 100 other people and try and get their phishing information, or it could have been a direct wire transfer attack that
Mhm.
turned into $80,000.
Right.
We don't know because we kicked them out in 30 seconds.
Which
But
is awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even simple things like, the VPN and things like that, like having ways to prevent certain things from happening. Like I know there's a bunch of websites now actually that won't let you on if you're using a VPN. And I'm like, okay, I know that I can't use GoDaddy unless I'm at home on my own Wi-Fi. Like I can't do that publicly while I'm out at a coffee shop or something because I
and it
refuse to
creates
turn
an
off my
evolution in
VPN.
what we do tactically. We are
Right.
actively looking into alternatives to that software tool because it's losing effectiveness because
Yeah.
of the way that the cybersecurity ecosystem is changing around that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
what is the solution? There are solutions out there. We're exploring them right now, but that kind of thing takes a couple of months. To that point, maybe we change it in a month, maybe we change it in 6 months, but when we change it, we just take care of it. We notify folks, hey, this is going to be a new tool. It's going to be automatic. These are the benefits of what we're doing it. But the
Hmm.
way that we set up our business model is like you're paying for the things that are going to be necessary. And if we change tools on you, all we have to do is tell you that we're changing tools, and here's what they're going to look like, and here's if there is a workflow difference for you, here's the difference.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you don't have to care because you've already taken care of that on the billing side of like, whatever is necessary to take care of you, here's that bucket of cost.
Yeah, the ease at which I can like think I don't have to worry about setting something up that will keep me protected. That has
Right.
been so nice since we started working together of like, oh, this is a new thing. The team the other day, they're like, is this a legit? You have a new employee, and my team member was like, is this legit? This is not the normal person we work with. And being able to, have that conversation and have
I
folks
love
flag
careful.
it.
I love careful suspicion
Oh, totally.
and caution in our end users. I applaud
Yeah.
it every time, even if it's technically to our detriment. Every once in a while, I still applaud it
Oh, yeah.
because it's good behavior for everybody to have.
Yeah.
It's as soon as there's that blind faith in us, I actually get a little nervous
Hmm.
because we are not immune to this
Right.
ecosystem of getting hacked. We put in all sorts of safeguards. We have best in class tools as best we can to keep people out, but nothing's ever 100%.
No.
So at some point, we will likely end up getting breached. We are a high value target industry.
Hmm.
IT
Yeah.
companies, IT service companies are high value targets. So it is unfortunately only going to be a matter of time. So the best we can do is have our plan in place,
Hmm.
separate the data in enough ways that what they get access to is not traumatizing, is not terrible,
Yeah.
right? Have the visibility to be able to react quickly. These are the things that we advocate for our end users as well, for our clients.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to stop it from happening. What you can do is know what you're going to do when it
When
does.
it does. Yeah. That's
Right.
great.
What is the plan? What are the preventions that are in place?
Hmm.
Do what you can control and let go of the things that you're not going to be able to control. It'll happen. So what you control is your response. How do you react?
Hmm.
That's a really good point because so much of being a business owner is like preparing for the unknown, right?
Yeah.
And things change so quickly in general. And you might think it'll never happen to you, but it probably will. So if you don't have a plan in place and you just say, oh, well, I didn't think this would happen to me, then you're just stuck and you don't know how to move forward. And whether it's they took your money or they took your access to your marketing channels or whatever it is, that could really harm you. So, like, what are you doing to still reach your clients, still reach your money and still operate and function as a business?
Yeah. The worst thing I ever hear from clients and prospects is everything's backed up in OneDrive, so I'm fine. The single worst thing I've ever heard, and I hear it still often because people are susceptible to buzzwords that they don't really fully understand, and some
Hmm.
companies prey on it. And we recommend Microsoft and Google to folks, but I'm also very aware of how mixed feelings I have on that because both companies will advocate back up your files using such and such. They use the terminology, so everybody goes, "Well, I'm fine, backed up,"
Hmm.
and I call bullshit on it every single time. That's not a backup.
Yeah.
They are
Right.
straight up using a buzzword
I was
to
going to
trigger
say
you to do
it's
the thing.
cloud
It is bad.
storage.
It
It's
is a straight up,
storage.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is
It's storage.
storage.
It's not a backup.
Delete
Yeah.
it from storage and see how quickly you're going to be able to recover
Yeah.
your data. Like,
We've been rewatching Silicon Valley, and
Mhm.
there's like a section of it where they're doing the compression, and they accidentally put I think it's a tequila bottle on the delete key, and they just like deleted all these files that they got access to, and it's just comical. Like there's so much that falls into that kind of like IT bucket, or I guess I can share the example of uh, my experience with the backups thing was, I had a laptop that died after 6 years. And I was like, oh crap, here we go. We get to check if the backup of the files in my computer will show up. And sure enough, when I got a new computer, I was able to call BH Tech Connection and be like, hey, how do I get access to all those files that were saved in my hard drive on my laptop? And they were all there. And I was like, praise the Lord, because it's the stuff that you don't even know. I was like, I don't even know what I just lost, And the Apple Store was no help. They're like, oh, it's
oh, it
gone
wasn't an
forever.
iCloud?
Yeah. Oh, yes. That too. They're like, it wasn't an iCloud. I was like, no, not everything was. So, but yeah. So those are like little things that I feel like people don't think about. And also stop putting all your passwords in a Google sheet. It can get hacked.
I am
Right, so-
really guilty of that. My husband gets on me about that. He gets so mad at me because I reuse the same passwords because I just can't remember. He set up a LastPass for me, and I finally logged into it. So I need to
Now,
get all
there's
my
2 points to the LastPass. One is to have a secure place for everything to live in. The other thing is to actually auto-generate passwords so everything can be unique, so
yeah.
that you can let go of memorizing.
That's
Yeah.
what he told me. Yeah, he's like, please do that," and I'm like, "Okay."
The only one you have to remember is the
working.
one to get into LastPass. You have to know
Yeah, exactly.
what your combo is there.
Well, and this wasn't supposed to be a plug, but one of the advantages of us managing a password system is that you can be okay forgetting the master password. We're able to actually have the access level to help you back into the vault, which is, again, sometimes a game changer for folks.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, not always the reason, why people resist password managers is fear of losing control and losing access into the system.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
what? And then what happens? And now I can't access anything. I'm just going to reset everything back to what I remember anyway, right? And so there's a lot of resistance that pops up around that.
Yeah. And it only takes one. It only takes one thing for them to figure out. If you know, your password shouldn't be like Netflix 123, Hulu 123. You know, like once
as
they
soon as
figure
there's a
out
pattern,
one,
as
yeah.
soon as there's a pattern, the generator crackers, the password crackers,
Yeah.
are like augmented by enough AI intelligence at this point that it's, as soon as it picks up on any discernible pattern, it will dang near instantaneously figure out the rest of the pattern across a built-in list of like 100 different websites or 1,000 different websites that it will attempt based off of the email account that they already have and this password theme. And it will apply it globally. And that's how we've had folks that have been like overseas and they got hacked in one place and then all of their stuff was hacked. And then it was a month-long process of working with them in an hour session at a time to reset passwords one at a time, get them back in.
Yeah.
And that was the learning pain point for that particular person in that story, for them to auto-generate.
Yep.
Because they were not letting go of the memorized passwords. They would hold on to that because they wanted the fail-safe of, I can't get into my password manager, but it's fine, I still remember what the password is. They wouldn't let go of that.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
it backfired.
Okay, fine. You convinced me. I will listen to my husband and I will do it.
You got two people telling you now. Three people. Me too.
Another thing that ties back to like entrepreneurs and like what something everybody goes through anyway is like it's whose lived experience is it? The number of people that I talk to that don't have the frame of reference that I have of what their risks are and what they're going to hit and what they're going to run across, what crisis they're going to have cybersecurity wise. I have the lived experience of working with so many other companies that have gone through it that I can point to 5 cases every single time of like, this has happened 5 times in the past 5 years in my experience. It's going to happen to you. Just because you've gone 20 years in business and you've never come across it, congratulations.
Yeah. I think we talked about that at some point last year where I asked you, did anybody get hit or did you prevent any like ransomwares? And I think you said that like 5 or 6 in the last year. And I was like,
But
okay,
you've never gotten hit by ransomware. Congratulations.
it's true.
But that doesn't mean that you're not
But that
done.
doesn't mean anything. No. Yeah. Well, there's been times where I've seen stuff in my antivirus and I'm like, where? I was like, thanks for preventing that little bug. Where did that come from? But, I mean, we're so much on the internet, we're so much on the phone, so much of business is doing that. And people learn or people find it really fast. Like I'm on a board of a nonprofit. I'm already getting emails from the folks who just got, or fake emails from the folks who just got voted in as board chairs, a month ago. There's already these things of like, hey, Ashlyn, can you buy gift cards for us? Or, hey, Ashlyn, I need that routing number. And it's like, yeah, sure, spam person, that's in my spam folder. No, delete, block, all that. But there are folks who are moving too fast that will inevitably get hit with something like that.
Well, and something that I'll share that I'm experiencing right now is I've got a constant stream of different email addresses that all have phrased as Tara, which you know who Tara is
Right.
on my
Yeah.
team, going, hey, something's wrong with my paycheck. And it's like real, like natural language emails to me
Yep.
of like, I need you to fix this. Like, I
Mhm.
haven't gotten paid for the past couple of times. I have daily check-ins with her on Zoom, so I just every once in a
Yeah.
while I feel like paychecks are coming in fine, and she laughs because she knows I'm getting those emails. She's like, yeah, everything's fine. Okay, right? But it's the
Yeah.
importance of like, don't verify through the same medium.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if
That's true.
somebody's hitting you up over email and you find it suspicious, the worst thing you can do is respond to the email and go, "Is this legit?" Because of course, what's the hacker gonna say? No,
Yes.
you
No,
caught me.
no. Yeah. Yeah.
You caught
Exactly.
me.
I'm
You're right.
legit for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
really good point. That's a
Mhm.
really good point. And I've been in a hurry and I've not paid attention. Like I've fallen for stupid stuff and like thankfully it's nothing ever terrible, but like I remember I was posting for like like a job posting and somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn and they had a profile that looked legit. And then they're like, "Oh, and here's my portfolio." And because it was for a designer, didn't think twice about it, clicked on the link and it was not a portfolio link, and then some weird stuff started happening. I'm like, oh no, I fell for it. But it's like
Yeah.
when you're in a hurry and you're not paying attention, it's so easy to do.
Mhm.
Standards in workflow are important.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working with clients and you're a designer, there should always be the same process you go through every single
Yep.
time that all your staff have to go through. If you're on Google Drive and that's where the data lives, then it always has to be a Google Drive link that you're in charge of. And the
Mhm.
expectation is going, hey, I uploaded some files for you. Please go take a look. No links. Just, hey, in our shared folder that we have, I uploaded some more files for you to go look at.
Oh, that's
Have
so
that kind of
cool.
workflow because as soon as you introduce things
Mhm.
of like clicking this link, you
Mhm.
run across those lookalikes and now
Oh,
you have to make the judgment call every single time. So
that's
better
very
to put a
true.
workflow. So Ashlyn mentioned in the intro about like I love doing workflow optimization. Great way for a workflow optimization is have all the data live somewhere that you don't have to link to and reference
Mhm.
constantly. You
Yeah.
reference one place, tell them to bookmark it, and everybody's agreed and on the same page. Nothing has to change hands. You just go, hey, new data is there. Go look.
Yep. That's perfect because that is what we do
Yeah.
with our designers too. Is that we have folders for all of the things.
Have it bookmarked and
Yeah.
just say go look. As soon as you have
Mhm.
links, then it's like, why are you sharing the link? There should be some level of suspicion of like, please go to this link.
Mhm.
That's a really good point because I send so many links to documents for my clients, and I should just be like, it's in the shared folder here. Just go
Precisely.
access it. I don't know why.
And
Yeah.
that's you paying it forward to them because then they get trained by you that you never send them links except once at the
Right.
beginning.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Oh,
that helps
that's
them
smart.
learn how to do that. And they might trickle that to the next clients of theirs that they follow the same pattern because they thought, wow, that's a great idea. Right. So the amount of trickle effect and cascade that can trigger from one company doing it better can
Mhm.
teach other companies to do it better.
Yeah.
That's so smart. I didn't even think about that. Okay, I'm gonna start doing that too.
Awesome.
I have homework after this recording.
Yeah, I've done my job.
Well, thank you. Those are such good
Thank you.
lessons
Yeah.
for our listeners. We're going to pivot slightly because I know outside of BH Tech Connection, you have another company called Deluxe Savers. So, what tips do you have for entrepreneurs who are start thinking of starting a new thing on the side?
You know, startups take a lot of effort.
Yeah.
They take a lot of time. There, the term sweat equity is a critical factor here.
Mhm.
I've created quite a few different businesses, and at the end of the day, I still have one primary business and a bunch of tiny ones that are off on the side. Um, doesn't mean that I don't continue to have hopes to scale them and grow them, but recognize where your spoons are, recognize where to prioritize. I have one company with 5 staff that I have payroll for. That's where the responsibility mostly lies. If there's a conflict of time and priority, and there's two deadlines, and they both land on the same date, and you only have time to accomplish one of them, but they're both from different companies, be really clear about where your priority is, and let the rest fall where it will. Um, being sustainable about it. The number of folks that I've had coach me and encourage me to drop the additional businesses, I don't go that far. But what I do focus on is reaching balance where I am able to sustain the effort I put into each business. What it does mean is that my secondary businesses don't get the level of attention I would love to give them. But it also doesn't take away from me being able to grow the current one.
Yeah,
Right.
super smart. Well, tell us what is Deluxe Sabers, because I named it. What is it?
Yeah. So the lightsabers is, it's combat grade lightsabers. They're battle ready. They can change colors. They can make contact with other lightsabers. They do swooshing effects. They do clash effects. They're rechargeable battery. They're like pretty lightweight but really sturdy. They look beautiful. Like they're fun, nerdy toys.
They're fun. They're good. Like the weight on them, it feels like really play. I know because I got to play with them.
And fun plug when we're talking about entrepreneurs and we're talking about like client appreciation or employee appreciation, staff appreciation, I'll be the first to tell you, like almost everybody on my staff, I think only the newest person doesn't have one yet, but everybody else got one for a year-end bonus at least once. I think one or two of them might have been around long enough that I ended up doing a second round and I included them in on it, so they might have two.
Nice.
But they're in the same general price range as getting like a smartwatch. So it's like, do you get a smartwatch and it's kind of boring and everybody already has a wearable, or get a lightsaber? I'm a Star Wars fan, so I know what I would choose every single time. But
Yeah. That's really fun. I love that.
I was gonna say,
yeah, Ashley and I are talking about creating a referral program for BH Tech Connection, where existing clients, they refer new clients over to us. We can reward them with a lightsaber. Like we're talking around like fun ideas that like disrupt the normal pattern of what a referral bonus could look like.
Yeah.
That's
They
really
are super fun. Is Danny into? Have you introduced him to Star Wars yet?
Not really, not yet. But probably soon. I feel like it's on the horizon. So
Never too early. I don't remember not having watched it.
That's fine.
I grew up with the VHSs and then the laser discs of the original trilogy, and then the prequels came out while I was still growing up. But like, I don't remember a time before I had watched it. I don't remember the very first time I watched any of those movies.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I watched the original trilogy at some point when I was like 2 or 3, because I have no memory of before.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think even though like I wasn't a huge big fan of it, I still saw them all. I still watched them. Like I still had. It's very much part of like I think all of our childhoods. Like it was just there, So.
Well, and the fun part about the lightsaber business is that you don't even have to be a Star Wars fan. Who doesn't like a lightsaber?
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be like, I really don't care about the movies, but a stick that lights up and can hit other sticks that light up and make fun sounds. Sure, why not?
Awesome. Why not? No, I think we'll have to introduce Danny soon for sure. So I'm also getting really tired of Mickey Mouse and some other things. So
I was gonna say you can level up the storyline.
Yeah, exactly.
All I'll say on that front is Savers Workshop is in the Galaxy's Edge place is fine for like wanting to build a lightsaber and have the crystal that you pick and stuff like that. But as far as functionality goes, as far as weight goes, they are very inferior.
Okay. No. Awesome. Well, it's fun. And I do feel like it is a very common thread amongst entrepreneurs to have multiple projects and multiple things going on at once. I'm in the same boat, and I think we're always I think that's just part of the personality that entrepreneurship attracts, is the personality that like wants to do a bunch of different things. So
I make the claim with like a prove me wrong, but I strongly believe that a majority percentage of entrepreneurs have ADHD.
Oh, 100%. Every entrepreneur I've talked to.
Yeah.
Whether they know it or not.
At the very least, are neurodivergent.
Yes. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Well, my very last hot seat question takes another pivot, and it's this. We've been asking everybody the same question. What's a song that's been on repeat for you lately, or that's on your playlist?
I've gotten really into Lydia the Bard. I don't know who knows about Lydia the Bard, but she does a lot of Disney covers. but not
Okay.
covers exactly. She's got a few that are just like faithful covers, but most of them are like redoing lyrics to make it as if the
Yeah.
hero became the villain as part of
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
and
Okay,
so yeah.
I'm gonna look this up.
It's like alternative universe Disney songs. And she's also got a few like original songs. And one of my favorite ones, and it was the first one I heard from her, was Afraid of Quiet.
Okay.
And it is such a
Amazing.
beautiful encapsulation of somebody going through like stress, panic attack level kind of stuff and like just
Okay.
spiraling in silence. There's just something very like you feel seen if you've gone through it and then you listen to the quiet and you're like, holy shit, it can be triggering, just full disclosure for anybody that has those kinds of issues and then listens to the song is so on point that it could be a trigger, but it's
Mhm.
also at the same time just such a beautiful song.
Love it.
Well, I'm
I
looking that up as soon as we are
we
done
need to
here.
stop recording. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what song somebody sent over, but I've heard of Lydia the Bard, and I think I went down like a YouTube rabbit hole, and then was
Well, she's
like,
on
okay, you
YouTube,
need to
but she's
stop.
also on Apple Music. So if you
Oh,
got
nice.
Apple Music, she's got a lot of her music there.
I do have
Okay, good
Apple
to know.
Music. Awesome.
Awesome. Well,
Well,
thank
we've
you.
come to the end of our questions. Is there anything else that you would like to share today that we didn't get to in our line of questioning?
Making assumptions based off of the name of this podcast, but I'm assuming that we're also helping folks that are listening to take the leap and become entrepreneurs themselves.
Yes.
And the biggest takeaway that I remember from when I made this leap was that you're never comfortable. It's kind of like the scene from the movie Onward. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but there's that bit where the main character is trying to get on the freeway in the van, and his brother, he's like, "I'm not ready," and the brother is like, "You'll never be ready. Now merge."
Yes.
It's such a perfect encapsulation of it. Is like you're always going to have that fear moment that's holding you back from actually diving in, and there's only so much you can set the stage for. You can't control so many things about this new business and whether it'll succeed or fail. And I think people just hold out waiting for the better time,
Yeah.
waiting for the better moment, and it's never gonna happen. You just have to do it. And
Yes.
if it means you fall and then pick yourself up and then succeed, great. That's what happened to me. I failed
Mhm.
the first time I tried, and 5 years later I tried again and it worked.
I love that. That's really powerful. Thank you for saying that.
I have one more plug that I remembered now that we went on this on this journey. Brady has a checklist for startups. So if you are wondering what IT you need, and this helps because I'm a marketing person, if you are wondering what IT systems you need to put in place, we'll include this in the show notes as well. But I think it is really important. Like I had a lot of stuff in place when I started, but once I met Brady, I was like, I'm transferring all of this to you because then I don't have to worry about it anymore because it becomes a peace of mind thing. And then you can really focus on the thing that you wanted to do as an entrepreneur. No, unless you're doing IT services, then you can ignore all of this. You probably will happily hand over that hat
Yeah.
because you don't need to be the chief everything officer in your business when
Yeah.
you are the
Well, and just
CEO.
measuring twice and cutting once is an important part of that checklist. So
Yeah.
like the thing that we do is like somebody that doesn't have the money necessarily to engage us right away, but still should try and get their basic setup scalable in a way that makes sense to take over later and have staff join. Worst mistake I see people do is open up a free Gmail and call it a day. Like
Yes. Yes.
it doesn't help you. It hurts you in the long run because you can't move it. You can't move that history terribly easy at all. So you build up 5 years worth of email history, and then somebody comes along and tells you need to be on business email, and the first thing they say, "But I can't. I got so much history." Yeah, that's really sucks. You
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
really shouldn't have done that at the beginning, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
So
that is something that makes you look like a legit business out the gate is just do the domain email, come up with something
even
to be a
that's the
domain
most
email.
basic layer. That was the layer I was talking about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But security alert monitoring, phishing protection, backups of emails, backups of data. Because if you've got a free Gmail, you're putting shit in your Google Drive, that's free too.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have no backups of that either. So just the number of tools that need to have at ashbeanpdx.com as a thing that you have control over and your tools plug into that is so critical. And you open up a free Gmail, you lose all of that structure. You have no business support with your email provider. If your email goes down, you're screwed. You got
Right.
nobody to talk to. You have no tickets to open. You got no, right?
Mhm.
It is such a baseline. And then at the very end of it, almost now, I tack on, after the 15 things I just rattled off, I then go, and by the way, people don't take you seriously because you're at gmail.com.
Yep. Yep. They
That's
would
my
much
biggest thing.
rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Or you just automatically go to their spam when you're emailing them because, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Brady, for being on with us. Thank you
Thank
for all
you.
the nuggets of wisdom that
Yes.
you shared. We will have all the links to Brady's websites, both BH Tech Connection and Deluxe Sabers, in our show notes. And as always, if you have any questions, any guest suggestions, hit up our website, taketheleap-today.com, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.